I just get the sense that if this had something to do with the Chargers or some other big group, that we'd be moving a lot quicker, and that we'd actually put something in the budget and say, come back in 90 days. So, we're going to put the money in the budget. We'll get the details in 90 days. So that's what I want to do. I would like to move the approval of the budget with an amendment to the item 20, public infrastructure, which is on Schedule 3, Attachment A, Center City and Horton Plaza redevelopment projects, providing $700,000 for this project. However, encumbering those funds until such time that a project plan and budget is presented to the City Council, instructing CCDC management to report back to the City Council within 90 days after conducting stakeholder outreach and developing their project plan and budget. So that's my motion. Thank you, Ms. Frye, for the second. We're going to put this in the budget. That's the only action-forcing mechanism we have to know that this isn't going to be just lost as one of those nice ideas. I find it unconscionable that we haven't made this a priority. We certainly haven't made a permanent homeless shelter a priority, although we are making progress. But I think this is the least we can do. The humane investment, the least we can do to meet the needs.
We proposed dealing with the maintenance issue by selling advertising on the individual loos, and because of the sign ordinance downtown, that became prohibitive. But we would be very happy, obviously, to look at this and look at some of the issues relating to the loo in terms of infrastructure, where sewer lines can be broken into, how we can make this work, and then work on the maintenance issues if that's your direction.
Well, I would like to, there's a whole process that to go through, and I'm sure all my colleagues would appreciate that no matter what council district you'd be talking about, that you would look at all of those issues involved. You would look at issues of infrastructure, and you would certainly go through the community process of all of the planning groups and theirs. And I think having it go through the CCDC board, if my colleagues want to have that and come back with regardless of that, is there money that can be used potentially if in fact the process has gone through with the budget that exists today?
Well, I think those are, again, it's not our money, it's all your money. So I think there'd have to be questions that would have to be raised regarding whether CDBG would be appropriate. And I think that certainly makes sense to explore that, as well as other projects that will have to be sacrificed, at least in this year's budget, to accommodate it. Clearly, if it was phased in, it would be a different set of issues.
But I think you've made my point. There's a whole host of things I'd like to go through, because I am supportive of the concept, and I've said that on many occasions, and I think Mr. Smith has. Can I ask one of the speakers of the campaign to come on up?
We've been working with David Ross, and he's part of our coalition. As you know, he's here every week when he's here earlier, and what he's been doing is a Band-Aid approach, which is great for the short term, but this is the long-term solution. And so what we see as the highest priority would be replacing those porta-potties with the Portland Loo in the same or very similar location. So the one is at 11th and C, and that's close to the City College trolley stop, and that's a high traffic area. So that would be an excellent place to site the loo. And then the other location for the porta potty is 16th and Island, and that's real close to the Neil Good Dade Center, and that would be another good location for the loo. Those two locations, clearly there's a large homeless population for those two locations, and that would serve the population that's already there. Not people think, oh, it's going to attract the homeless. They're there, and the Neil Good Day Center is an institution, and so is Father Joe's Villages. So I think that area that's going to be that way for a while. Other locations could be in the gas lamp, they could be Little Italy, and that services all sorts of demographics. The other thing I want to mention about the CCDC budget, because I've looked at it closely and late at night, is there's a line item for each neighborhood, I think, has public improvements. For East Village, there's $800,000, and I know they have things in mind there, but it's potential that some of that money perhaps could go for the loo. There's also the green project that was unveiled recently. This is solar powered, so perhaps that would be in there. And we feel like there might be other potentials. Perhaps the Little Italy bathroom, that $900,000 is in the CCDC budget for that. Perhaps that could be done for $600,000 or $700,000, and there'd be a savings there. So those are just some ideas from the CCDC budget.
And I appreciate all of the speakers here, particularly the women who spoke regarding the public restroom issue, an issue that I've certainly been very involved in. And as was mentioned, several colleagues here have given some of their own funds to help out, and I want to thank my colleagues, Ms. Frye, Mr. DeMaio and Ms. Leitner, who have helped with some of their monies on some of the temporary restrooms, and I know you've been very involved in that as we look to what permanent sites and selections we would potentially have. So I want to make sure I put that on the
I've spoken with Mr. Maas, and I know that David Ross has, and the Girls Think Tank, and I think all working together and making sure that there's money and that we can be supportive. And if I can be of assistance to Councilmember Faulconer in this, as far as looking at some additional revenues that I might be able to find, I'm happy to do that. But I do agree that there has to be discussion with this community, so we can certainly put the money in as a placeholder and then have them come back in 90 days and see how that works out for the residents and where those loos are. So anyways, I just wanted to say to Mr. Faulconer, you're quite a you're quite a lord of the loo.